What role do genetic variants play in psychiatric and neurological disorders? That question is at the heart of Professor Sarah Medland's work.
What we're really trying to do is to understand the way that the human brain develops and the way that mental health conditions develop.
Professor Medland is a psychiatric and statistical geneticist. She works with colleagues around the world to analyse large samples of data from thousands of people with lived experiences of different mental health conditions, such as bipolar disorder or schizophrenia.
Through their participation and their generosity of time, that's enabled us to be able to actually do powerful research.
For example, her research has found that genetic variations can explain around 80% of the factors influencing whether or not someone will develop ADHD, and 40% of the factors influencing someone's risk of developing depression.
But the environmental components play a really strong role, and the genetic and environmental factors work together to influence risk or resilience to depression.
Professor Medland was instrumental in the formation of the Enigma Consortium, which unites more than 2,000 scientists across 45 countries to better understand brain structure, function, and disease. Their shared protocols mean it's now easier to analyse massive amounts of brain imaging and genomic data.
In the brain imaging field, particularly around genetic effects, a lot of groups were expecting to find that genetic variants would have extremely large effects.
But research from the Enigma Consortium revealed otherwise. Rather than finding a few variants with a large influence, the data showed that many genetic variants have a small influence.
Individually, they're very small, but cumulatively, they have significant and large impact.
Finding such small variants was only possible thanks to the use of very large data sample sets, such as those from Enigma.
What this has really done is shift the field forward and made it focus on the idea that analyses do need to have enough power and they do need to be robust and replicatable.
Modelling the many genetic variants that influence our brains may make it possible to predict those most at risk of developing certain disorders. That could then pave the way for earlier interventions. Professor Medland's group are also investigating which genetic variants influence side effects from medication, ensuring people get the most suitable treatments.
One of the fundamental questions in the type of work we do is really gaining a better understanding of our bodies and ourselves and the way in which biology is working.
Professor Medland says she's honoured to join other passionate fellows of the Australian Academy of Science in advancing human knowledge.